Mohawk Valley Phenomenon here. How's everybody doing tonight? Or early morning? We're going to get right into some things tonight. I want to try to narrate a story for you guys that I had copied down from a website. I'll tell you that in a minute. But it's based on the Grim Reaper and kind of encompasses some of the things I've talked about in my past videos. That, and I want to give you guys some content. And on top of content like that, if there's a topic you guys would like me to look into that you would like to hear about in the future after this little series with the Grim Reaper's over, let me know. I'll jump some stories in between on which I may just do that anyway to preface my next stories. I'm going to tell you the encounters, the rest of the encounters myself and my family have had. So basically, I'm going to give you a narration. I'm going to stand up and get off screen for that. You'll just be looking at the wall behind me here, and then we'll get into what's happening tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. And we'll get into that in a few minutes here. But I want to give you this narration, and here we go. This story about a Grim Reaper comes from mysteriousuniverse.org. They had quite a few good stories on there. So here we go. I'm going to get into this story now. A very, very harrowing account of the Grim Reaper appearing before death comes from the site Weird Darkness, with a witness named Heather Circle saying that her Aunt Amy had seen it after spending one whole day looking for her child's sippy cup without success. It started when her husband John was away on a business trip, with Amy being woken one night by a loud thud and the sight of a 7-foot-tall apparition that exuded a frigid coldness about it, and it was surrounded by a stench of rotting meat. She says of what happened next. Frozen with pure terror, she tried to scream, but no sound came out. As her eyes adjusted, she could see the creature's face. It had a very small head, about the size of a grapefruit, on its enormous shoulders. Its face was wrinkled and saggy, shriveled like a rotten apple. The eyes were like jet black dimes. It was draped in what my aunt described as an Eskimo's coat, thick with fur lining. In its gloved hand, it held a little pink sippy cup. After a minute of the creature's unsettling stare, it dropped the sippy cup onto the floor and walked away. When Amy received motion again, she grabbed John's hunting rifle and cautiously cleared the house. She checked the children, who were still asleep in their beds, and called her husband and my mother the next morning. She found the sippy cup and her remote lying in the middle of her hallway. Amy described to my mom that the creature that visited her felt like death. 2 weeks later, at the age of 25, Amy was diagnosed with terminal cancer. This would become more harrowing still when the witness herself would be visited by this entity in the days after this terrifying experience. As her and her mother struggled to take care of her ailing aunt, one evening she says that as she was waiting for her mother out in her car, the beams of her headlight happened to be aimed right at her sick aunt's bedroom window. And that's when she saw something she could not explain. And in the ensuing sequence of events would convince her that her aunt had been telling the truth, and this had happened and that this had been the literal Grim Reaper, she says. Little tongue twister there for me. Here's her account. I saw the curtains move, and at the very top portion of the window, I saw a face looking out at me. I saw a small, wrinkled head with little shark-like eyes. It grinned at me, then disappeared behind the curtains. Within seconds of seeing the creature, the car began to shake violently. I had never been more horrified. I screamed for my mother as soon as my mother walked out the front door. The car suddenly stopped. As soon as my mother got into the car, I cried and tried to explain what happened. I couldn't speak right. I stuttered, the words wouldn't flow. As we drove down the street, the car seemed to be pulling from one side of the road to the other. I felt like we had a flat tire. My mother pulled the car over and inspected the wheels. The lug nuts on all four of the tires were loosened to the point of almost falling off. I knew right then and there that that creature I saw in the window did this. It was terrifying. It was trying to kill us. At the age of 26, my Aunt Amy passed away. I know now that the creature that visited my aunt and showed itself to me was the Grim Reaper. But it has been 20 years since it all happened. But I still find myself thinking about this all the time. I'm always wondering, when will I see the Grim Reaper again? So I find that to be a pretty compelling story told on there. It sounds pretty credible. And actually on that site there are a bunch of Grim Reaper stories. That's specifically what I was reading on there. And she thinks that entity tried to kill them, that did that to their car. And I have this theory with these entities sometimes. Did that thing really do that to her car? Or maybe somebody else did that to her car, to her mother's car. And the Grim Reaper was kind of a warning. I mean, that's kind of the way it's presented itself to us, my family anyway, is like a harbinger, and was it actually just warning her, letting them know, or it depends. Everybody's got a different idea, and there's not one person that's has all the answers, I don't think, because I surely don't. I can just talk about my experiences and give my opinion on some things. So I hope you guys are pleased with that little narration. If you guys would like to hear more of that, let me know in the comments. Like I said, I'll probably do some more of that anyway to preface the stories I'm going to be talking about. I thought it would be a neat idea to set up what's going to happen tomorrow. I will be on location with my girlfriend. I'm going to see if my daughter can be there at the same time, so I don't have to give you a third video. We'll just listen to what they have to say. But she hasn't been feeling well in the past day. And there's this thing that I often wonder about, is this stuff worth doing sometimes? Because sometimes it feels like you stir this action up and there's the computer hard drive crashing, and I told you my daughter was away at camp, and she ended up in the ER. She's okay. She's got to see a doctor this week, but it's just these little things. I document this stuff too. I write it down and document all this stuff, the dates and times and the things like that. Just because it just does not ever seem to end. It's always something. Let me know if you guys' life are like that, you guys and girls out there. It's pretty interesting. There's something weird going on, something's in control or pulling string. I felt like something's been pulling strings my whole life for some odd reason. And it took me a long time to realize that, because at first I was very skeptic. I wouldn't, you know, I would hear things, or I never, I guess I was really skeptical because I'd never seen anything, you know, right in front of me, like, you know, Sasquatch or Sabe or, you know, Dogman or something like that. I mean, I had that encounter when I was younger, and I heard that growl. I thought it was a bear at the time, like I said. But we'll get into that tomorrow. I will be doing that tomorrow, and hopefully it'll be up in the afternoon or at night. This was late tonight. So hopefully this gets a little better, everyone. I just, you know, it's, so we'll meet there tomorrow, and you'll see me there. Sorry for the stuttering. I'm still trying to get used to this, everyone. Stay tuned for part 2 on location, where the encounter happened tomorrow. Thank you, everybody, and have a safe night.